Mm-hmm. Across the association in 30 minutes. Welcome to Nothing But Net on the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. That's the Midnight Rider. I am C. Perry II, where we discuss the happenings in today's NBA through the eyes of a couple of old heads. All right. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch Nothing But Net Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. The audio version of Nothing But Net is available on Thursdays on all of your favorite podcasting platforms like Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, just to name a few. And make sure you subscribe to the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network on all of our social media platforms. Now, with that being said, yo, let's jump it up.
Let's go. Let's tip ball, baby.
We gotta get going. Hey, it's wild, man. This, we got some news at about 2 something in the morning, all right, that the WNBA and their Players Association have verbally agreed to a new collective bargaining agreement, a transformative collective bargaining agreement. And of course, this is courtesy of ESPN's senior NBA writer Shams Charania. He dropped this, some of the details of the landmark collective bargaining agreement per ESPN sources. The new salary cap starts at $7 million. That's up from $1.5 million. The big key, revenue sharing of nearly 20% across the deal. The super max contract, which previously was just above $300,000, now starts at $1.4 million. The average salary ranges from is going to be now ranging from $600,000 with a minimum just above $300 million, and previously the minimum was about $66,000. Okay, so what were your initial thoughts when you heard this deal? That they finally got this deal done, and what are your thoughts on the initial particulars of this deal?
It's interesting how when there's the stars, but every CPA and everything like that is built around the middle class and the have-nots, because they will make a deal happen before the stars will, because they got to get paid. And this deal, to me, be honest, is great for the average player and the lower level player, because now you see their salaries go up from probably $100K to $300K. I think I saw a thing where Adrian Wilson will be going from like $240K to $1.4 million. That's a hell of a pay raise. Yeah. So I like it for the ladies. I just hope they can continue to grow and play a good brand of basketball to make things happen. Speaking of ladies and a brand of basketball, after we finish up here tonight on Nothing But Net, we've got a women's college draft pick'em show that we're doing tonight at 8. Myself and the big guy KG. I don't know if we have anybody else going with us. But with that being said, let's get back to business at hand, the WNBA.
and that's the key. And you just said it. That's the key right there. Okay, growth and continued growth. I mean, we gotta look at this. This year is the 30th anniversary. This is the 30th anniversary season of the WNBA, and this league and women's basketball as a whole have been taking major steps. Right, so it was, to me, it was fine time to make this move, especially with the growth that's gone on in this league over the past 6 years. Right, it's been major growth, major growth in this league. Transcending teams and stars in the league, with transcending stars coming in from the college game, and you're looking at major growth. And I'm so glad that they were able to get this deal done so that it does not affect their schedule. Now, I mean, right now it's a verbal agreement. They still have to put everything on paper. Once they put everything on paper, then it has to be ratified by the WNBA Board of Governors and the Players Association. And once that's done, then here's the schedule, right? April 1st to April 6th, you have, right now, that's where they're looking at for the expansion draft. Remember, we have two new teams that are starting in the WNBA: the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire. Okay, then after that, of course, what also ties into everything, the NCAA tournament, and finishing up the NCAA tournament. Right after the NCAA tournament, you're going to have you're pretty much going to have free agency beginning. There are 70 players that are free agents. Players like Breanna Stewart, former MVP. Players like Nafisa Collier. Players like Satu Sabale. So there's a lot of big players like Asia Wilson. There are players and major name players that are going to be out there with the new salary, with the new salary structure, signing new contracts. So trust me, this is going to be a crazy frenzy. Then think about it. Right after that, once free agent opens, the day after free agent opens, then you have the WNBA draft. Okay, which still looks like you got another strong class. One of the projected number one picks, I forgot her name, but she's a player from France. Okay, so you're looking at the international game coming in, and regular season starts on May the 8th. So, like I said, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad they got it done, because it gives them that chance and that opportunity for a lot of growth. Now, here's one thing that I like about the new contract structures, about how much they're getting paid. Maybe not this season, and maybe not next season, but this is eventually going to keep a lot of these players from supplementing their income going overseas. Okay, they'll have enough money to hire trainers. Okay, so they can get their reps in. Right. I don't see leagues like Unrivaled and Project B, the new one that's starting up. I don't see them going away as much as I see them being an extension for some of these players to get reps in before the start of the WNBA season. Because remember, the WNBA season is, in comparison to other leagues at this time right now, is shorter.
So there's two things I want to happen from this.
Mm-hmm.
One, I want the stars to be the stars.
Yeah.
I don't want the borderline stars, the person you gotta look hard at his stat sheet and figure out if they are a star or not. I don't want that to happen. with this. Like everybody can't get the 1.4. You know, somebody's got to get one. Somebody's got to get 800,000. We can't be like the men where you have this melded mush of too many guys just naturally getting the max deal. That's number one. From number two, I don't know if they do this or not. I haven't watched a lot of Unraveled, but if I'm the WNBA, what I would do is I'd have like some type of licensing agreement, so that way when they show the players, they see their Unraveled team, but then they can see what WNBA team they belong to.
That's actually a dope idea. That is that.
And like here by way of, and you get a WNBA team credit. That way, you're keeping the pipeline, because what we're doing now is you're playing, and I forget what times they play, but I missed a lot of games because the schedule was funky. TV contract wasn't on. It was good, but it wasn't where I saw enough of the games in enough time. So that's the one thing I'd say about that. So if they can figure that out a little bit, and then that way you have a continuation of seeing the product in the off season and during the regular season.
We're probably going to have to do a primer just like we did for the new NBA media deal with the current WNBA deal, because it's a product that you can that you can now catch on USA Network, that you can catch on CBS, that you can catch on ESPN, that you can catch on Ion, and catch on Amazon Prime. So, but that's the next step after this is going to be their, is going to be their their media deal. But yeah, man, happy to see the ladies get this together and get this get this going, so there's no stoppage and we can really, really, truly, truly see the growth of the of the WNBA. And then not only that, this deal is not just transformative for the WNBA and women's basketball, but for women's sports as a whole. So, keep an eye on that as well.
Well, the thing that started this to me is the NWSL being able to get Kenny Rodman her money, and they got her $1 million to stay in the league. I think once you start understanding that concept, where you don't want these players playing somewhere else, you don't even want them in harm's way. You want them here as much as possible. And then I think they got to start incentivizing some of the other stuff. I know Unravel does. I think they do a pot for the champions. I think the WNBA needs to make a little pot. I mean, they probably have it already, but maybe you sweeten that pot up a little bit too. So now is you got teams playing for like $1 million purse, and maybe it gets split. I don't know how it gets split.
Oh, that's where that increased profit sharing with the league. That's where that's where all of that comes in handy. That's where all of that will get figured out. Bruh, let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Now, we discussed this right after the All-Star game, and now it's being put into officiality, so to speak. Okay, so the NBA Board of Governors plan to vote on expansion, primarily for Vegas, for the Las Vegas market and the Seattle market later this month. The date that I saw was around March 24th or March 25th. Once again, credited to ESPN Shams Charania. The NBA will hold a vote at the Board of Governors meeting next week to explore additional expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle, targeted to start playing in the 2028-29 season. Now, this is pretty much the first step. The first step is to vote and allow the league to focus on those two markets, and then have a bidding process for team ownership. And from there, it goes to the vote, where they need 23 of the 30 governors must vote in favor for expansion. Now, the projected proposal for how much the teams are going to cost is anywhere from $7 to $10 billion for each teams, based based on the market appeal, and you also got to look at the previous the previous teams that have been bought and where that market was. And finally, executives across the NBA expect either the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Memphis Grizzlies. One of these teams will be moving to the East to realign the conferences with 16 teams apiece in the conferences. So the conversation that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver had at All-Star Weekend has now gone into what it's going to be. In other words, talked about it, now doing something about it. We're not surprised. I know Midnight Rider, you're not surprised that Vegas and Seattle, they've been the focus the entire time.
Exactly.
Seattle, fine time to see a team go back to Seattle. From what I hear, once Seattle was approved, they will be getting likeness, history, and everything from their former team, the Seattle Supersonics.
That's the way it's supposed to be. I remember the Browns did this back in the day when the Ravens went to Baltimore. They were able to keep the records in Cleveland. I think everything needs to come back for the Seattle team. The colors, the jersey styles.
Mm-hmm.
I think all that needs to be in play.
Just like with Charlotte, which was the last NBA expansion team, the Charlotte Bobcats back in 2004, and then close to 10 years later, they regained the mascot likeness and history of the team that was previously there, that being the Charlotte Hornets.
Now the key and the kicker to it doesn't make sense for you to have past Memphis to go to Minnesota and put Minnesota in the East.
Thank you. Okay. Look, as much as I would enjoy the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Eastern Conference simply because they are an established team and will make the Eastern Conference playoffs funner than they already are. However, logistically, it makes absolutely no sense. The eastmost point in the Western Conference is Memphis, so it will make sense just to bring this is the team that needs to move to make alignment itself work.
And then the other piece is they haven't been good long enough to have continued rivalries. They've only been good in splashes. Mm-hmm. So it'd be different if you move like a Lakers team because you're worrying about the rivalries they naturally have set up. It'd be different if you're moving even to Golden State because of the rivalries you have set up. But because you don't really have a true rival, and these teams can actually create their own rivalries, that's going to be the key to it. And the two people I've been seeing tied to both teams are Zion Williamson and John Morant, which could be interesting as well.
Yeah. And let's not forget, I'm curious, once the approval goes through, my biggest focus is going to be who's a part of these potential ownership teams, especially one LeBron James. To me, it brings LeBron closer to retirement. Okay. I'm already looking at next season as being his last season, even though it would not surprise me if over the summer he retires. Don't ask me why, but for some odd reason, I always felt with LeBron James that I feel that he's going to go out without the retirement tour.
And I think the
By
opposite.
choice. By
I think
choice.
he'd come back next year. He'd hold a press conference before the season starts to announce that it's his last season. He'd do that at Boys and Girls Club, baby. You know, the
Man,
decision part two.
keep that man away from the Boys and Girls Club, okay? I really don't want the vision of that, and you know, and
You
the
know,
white plaid shirt and all that.
there
I
you
don't
go. Bring it all back.
I won't bring none of that back, okay? But I do
Maybe
expect him to be.
one.
I do expect him to be a part and a major part of the of this expansion team. You know.
Here's the bigger question you
Mm-hmm.
have to ask yourself, because the money is starting at 7 to 10 million.
Mm-hmm. Billion.
Um, does the league allow the Saudi sovereign, to be able to invest in this team and be part of the ownership group?
Oof. That's an interesting question, especially based on the fact that this is a Vegas franchise, and especially with the massive amount of Saudi money that has come through Vegas over the past 5 years. Whether you're talking about professional boxing, whether you're talking about MMA, whether you're talking about professional wrestling, Saudi money has been all over Vegas, and yeah, that would be extremely worthwhile looking at,
So
as these these potential ownership teams are put together.
I know we got our background with the young players, so let's pin that and write that down, because we can come back and talk about that in depth.
Mm-hmm.
We got more time. And let's go ahead and transition to what you wanted to talk about, because we got this tournament.
Yes, yes. Drafting the Kings, down with the Kings, the Kings. Look, this has been an incredible year of college basketball. Just with the talent level of players, and especially freshmen, that have been a part of the game, and we know a good majority of them freshmen ain't staying. All right, and this is courtesy of CBS Sports. This is just 9 of the top top 10 that are expected to be a part of the lottery. Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, Cameron Booza, Caleb Wilson, Kinston Flemings, Keaton Wagler, Mikael Brown Jr., Nate Ament, and Darius Acuff. And most of these players, except for the injured Caleb Wilson, and from what I hear, Michael Brown Jr. as well is not going to be playing in the first. Not going to be playing in the in the first round. All these players are projected to be top draft picks in a deep and what could be a transformative. That's the word. That's the word of today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Transformative. Transformative draft. What are your thoughts about this class, and what are your thoughts about what some of them could possibly be doing this tournament, and what you expect most of them to do
That's a great
when
question.
June goes around?
So the best part of that question is that list. There's a bunch of guys on the list, and I don't think they're going to change too much because of their play this weekend or in the next couple of weeks. I think the only person that really has the ability to explode up the board is Wagler and Acuff.
I agree.
I think they're the only two, because I think everybody else, we've been saying their names for so long. I think Acuff, that 40-pointer against Alabama, kind of started shedding some light and made people think. Wagler, I think his success, but I think also some of the background of Will Riley playing the way he's been playing, I think puts Illinois on people's maps.
Yeah.
And maybe some of these guys coming out of Illinois need a better look than what we gave Will Riley.
Exactly. And look, and think about the list that I just posted, and that list did not include two players from Arizona, Burgess and Pete.
Exactly.
Okay, who also are look to be a part of this lottery class.
So yeah, that's where I stand on this. I just think we got some guys that can fill it. Only thing I worry about, and because people keep putting the term or the tag transformative, but I think this is more just a really good class. There'll be solid NBA players. I don't know if we get the transformative out of this. Beyonce, he gets to shoot a lot. He gets the opportunities because he's at BYU. It's like if you ever went to get run at LA Fitness and there's like a job function there, and you the only black person that come in, well, all they're gonna do is get the ball, come across half court, and pass it to you. Now you get to do all the scoring. You have the best day of your life because they treat you like Michael Jordan.
Don't you mean at LA Fitness in Salt Lake City, Utah?
Any LA Fitness, dog. I think I was in. What was we at? Washington Sport and Health one day. It was me and this other black dude. We walk in the gym, and it's a job function, and they ask us, "Do we want to play?" And after we watched the first two possessions, I realized that dog, they just gonna give us the basketball and move. Look at him, it's like, yo, this is glorified one-on-one basketball right now. But what's your thoughts on this group, man?
I really think a great amount of this group are going to be playing in the NBA for 10 plus years.
Okay, so we both feel the same way.
Yeah, but if I'll be honest with you, if I'm looking at any of these players of being that transformative player, okay, it's Acuff. It's Acuff. It's Acuff. I've seen enough of him to realize he gonna get in the league and he gonna tear the league up. He gonna tear the league up. He's gonna get with a nice team. Well, when I mean a nice team, I mean a nice team that he's gonna start from day one, and then cash out. In other words, cash out to a major market and be even bigger. He has all of that potential.
I think he's a reverse 9 to 5. He's right now listed at 9, but I think when this tournament ends, he might be at 5 or 4, and people might be putting his name in that top group.
Exactly. Because I already feel Peterson, Boozer, Debanza locked. Okay,
right,
locked. That's going to be your top 3. They might move a little bit, but that's going to be your top 3. I think Acuff is going to crash that top 5.
Yep.
All right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we had a rather transformative day on Nothing But Net. We have. It's been a real interesting day, And ladies and gentlemen, remember you can catch Nothing But Net Wednesdays, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook Live, and X. Don't forget, audio version of Nothing But Net will be available on Thursdays, day after the show, Thursdays, on all of your favorite podcasts and platforms. Make sure you are following the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network on all of our social media platforms. Now, with that being said, because Midnight Rider got another show to go to, he's the hardest working man on his network, and appreciate, and I appreciate it. He's got like a minute to go. Look, that's the Midnight Rider. I'm C. Perry II. As always, ladies and gentlemen, fall back, baby. Swish. We'll see y'all next week.